Good morning, class. Today we're going to continue reading about George Washington. But in this book, we haven't come across him yet, but there are going to be a few words in here that you guys don't already know. So we're going to remember about how to find out what unknown words mean. So, like we went over in class yesterday, notice that you don't know the word, look for clues in the text, and then remember how we talked about replacing the word? When you replace it, you want to make sure, does it look right? Does it sound right? And does it make sense? So, another thing we're also going to work on today is called student-led small group work. So, I know sometimes in class we do turn and talk. This is kind of like that, except you're going to be in a little bigger group, and we're going to introduce something else today. So, when he was only a teenager, George signed up to join the British Navy. His plans changed, however, when his mom found out. Although she discovered his scheme at the very last minute, Mary forced him to unpack his bags and stay in Virginia. Luckily, George found another outlet for his desire to find excitement, and it was right in Virginia. The western part of the state was new to the people who'd originally come over from England. There were no roads through the forests or maps of the rivers, mountains, and fields. The Fairfax family, which owned vast stretches of land, hired George to be a land surveyor. The position required him to measure and record the surface of the terrain in order to draw boundaries and maps. So, class, I noticed here when we were reading that we came across the word terrain. So that's not a word that we're used to. So, what we're going to do is we're going to use our strategy to figure out unknown words, but we're going to do it in a small group, all right? So, when we discuss in a small group, these are what we like to call talking chips. So everybody will get 2 of them. When you talk, you put one of your chips in the middle. Nobody should be finished the lesson with both chips. That way we make sure that everybody gets involved. So, for the word terrain, I'm gonna put one of my chips in there, and I'm gonna think about, I'm gonna look for clues in the text that might help figure out what it means. It talks about how there were no roads to the forest or maps of the rivers, mountains, and fields. The Fairfax family, which owned vast stretches of land, hired George to be a land surveyor. The position required him to measure and record the surface of the terrain in order to draw boundaries and maps. I'm gonna put in my other talking chip because what I'm gonna say is that terrain, it talks about rivers, mountains, fields, and forests. So I think it might stand for an area of land. Now I know I didn't let you guys talk on this one, but that was just so I could explain. You'll get a chance coming up. George began his military career right after Lawrence's death by taking over his brother's position as an officer in the Virginia militia, which was the colony's part-time army made up of ordinary citizens. In 1753, he was called upon to go with 6 other people on his first treacherous 500-mile journey to the Ohio Valley, a fertile area that both France and English were claiming as their own. All right, so I noticed there that fertile came up. We haven't talked about that word before. So, as a group, we're going to use our talking chips, and we're going to figure out what it means. So, who wants to go? Who can hear something from the clues in the context? So, in 1753, he was called upon to go with 6 other people on his first treacherous 500-mile journey to the Ohio Valley, a fertile area that both French and English were claiming as their own.
I put my chip in the middle, and I think fertile means that it's really good for growing things.
Very good. Does anybody agree? Disagree? If you agree, put a chip in. If not, don't.
I'm confused. So why do you think that? Oh, there goes my chip.
I'll put my chip in the middle to answer. I think because they talked about the rivers and things, and usually stuff around a lot of farms are next to rivers.
That makes sense. I agree with you.
All right, so see how everybody got their chips in the middle there? Okay, so the next time we come across a word that we don't know, I'm gonna need everybody to take their 2 chips back. All right. King George II of England not only wanted to tell the French to get off British land, he also wanted forts built to protect English territories after he found out that the French were erecting forts all over the Ohio Valley. Erecting. I don't think we've come across that word before. So, what I want you guys to do is get into your groups again, and remember, use your talking chips.